My name is Nan Rich, and I'm the leader of the Democratic Caucus in the Senate. Just to tell you that I am so happy to have so many of my colleagues here today, but this is, I want you to be aware, a bipartisan issue. We have bipartisan support in opposition to this bill. We're here today to talk about the so-called Parent Empowerment Parent Trigger Bill. The names might sound hopeful, but the legislation is anything but. Because the centerpiece of this legislation has nothing to do with empowering parents or giving children and their parents options or improving schools. But it has everything to do with laying the groundwork for the hostile corporate takeover of public schools throughout Florida, a direct attack on public education. It has everything to do with billions of dollars in annual state funding and property tax revenue that large, for-profit, private charter management companies are eyeing. Let's start with the inspiration behind this legislation. The model bill mirrors the one produced by ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, a right-wing outpost for corporate America tied to billionaires like the Koch brothers. Now let's look at the parent empowerment track record. Well, there is none. There is no research to show that this risky experiment has or will work. Let's talk about the parent empowerment element. Parents of public school children are already empowered. They joined the PTA as I did, and not just to bake cookies, as the school revolution parent from California mentioned. And contrary to statements by her, the PTA helps craft good public policy. Parents are also involved through school advisory groups and school advisory councils, which are mandated by the state and have the sole responsibility of creating and implementing the school improvement plan. Under this legislation, by the time parents become empowered, the school has been labeled a failure, and their only empowerment is their ability to deliver their child's public school into the hands of a charter management company. That parent empowerment also doesn't extend to every parent. Once a company has 51% of the parent signatures, it doesn't matter what the remaining 49% think or want. It doesn't matter if the kids don't want to go to that charter school awaiting them, or if a group of parents that opted for the charter school one year is not the same group of parents the child is now forced to attend. These parents are being robbed of their promised empowerment because 51% have somehow been convinced that private corporations can educate children better than seasoned public school teachers. In the end, parents will divide against parents, and even children will divide against children. Finally, the process by which the signatures are collected to convert a charter school is questionable at best. Parents' signatures on a petition will be accepted as valid beyond the collection deadlines, an ironic lack of verification given the tight restrictions Florida imposes to cast a ballot on Election Day. All of us here today want the best for our children in public schools, and we're constantly searching for new ways to improve their education, but this legislation is not one of them. This doesn't mean there aren't some good charter schools out there doing good work, but this bill is not intended for them. This legislation is tailored for the big money corporations that see charters as a mechanism to convert billions in public school funds into profits for the few. Whether it's prisons or schools, privatization is not the answer. Make no mistake about this legislation. It seeks to dismantle and defund public schools, ultimately destroying public education as we know it. I'd now like to call on a few people who have traveled here to be with us. These are the real parents. These are the Florida parents who know and understand our public schools. First, we have Dawn Stuard, who is with the Florida PTA.
I've always wanted to be very tall. My name is Dawn Stuard. I'm the Vice President of the Florida PTA for Education. I have been elected by my peers to represent all the parents, 330,000 parents. I have heard it said that where's the PTA? Well, the PTA members that are at home taking care of their children, making sure that their children get to bed on time and have a breakfast in the morning so that they can do well in school. And then they ask us to come and speak on their behalf. I'm not one person. I don't really want to be heavy, but multiply me by 330,000 voices up here. We have a democratic process that comes together on our positions. We do support charter schools and the nonprofit world. Right. We do have a support there. And also the remark about making cookies, I actually am very offended by that. That's not the first time I've heard that. We stay so busy. Oftentimes we don't have to make cookies, but you know what? Our teachers need to be appreciated. There is nothing wrong with making a cookie to have a special day to celebrate the work of our teachers. But we are very much against this bill because we too think that we have school advisory councils that already have to be a majority of the parents that attend the school that comes up with a school improvement plan. That has been in statutes for a long time now. We already have parents that are involved with the schools if there's a problem. I can tell you in my county, I'm from Orange County, and we had a failing school that resources, not just, it was parental resources, businesses came together, financial resources came together, and they were able to turn this F school around through a lot of hard work. We don't need another law that tells us that we can do this. We don't need to import people from California. I'm not really trying to despair California, but you know, are they a good model? Are they a good model for us? You know, so I am here to ask the legislature to please vote against this very bad policy. Let us work with the school advisory councils. Let us continue to work locally with our schools to make them the best school for every child, every district. Make sure they have the resources necessary all the way from Madison County, Leon County, up in what they call Lower Alabama, you know, have it over there all the way down. Not have corporate America come in here and try to fix our schools, because corporate America will have to pay attention to their stockholders. Their stockholders aren't going to necessarily be children. My stockholders are children, and I'm a volunteer, and I represent 330,000 voices. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dawn, for all the good work that the PTAs do all over our state. Next, we have Colleen Wood, who represents 50th No More.
Thank you. I don't need the box. Always was in the back of the class pictures. Thank you for coming. My name is Colleen Wood, and I stand here today representing the real parents of Florida. This is an authentic grassroots alliance that includes every major group in the state. The combined voices of Citizens for Strong Schools, 50th No More, Florida PTA, Fund Education Now, Marians United for Public Education, Parents Across America, Testing is Not Teaching, Save Duval Schools, and Support Dade Schools represent 500,000 voters from every corner of Florida. We are Democrats, Republicans, and Independents. We are deeply concerned for the future of our children and their public schools. Allow me to introduce Linda Cobert, who will deliver our joint statement.
Good morning. It's nice to be in the Capitol in a room full of people who are willing to listen today. We are here to set the record straight. We are real Florida moms. We love our children and the children of the state of Florida more than ourselves. We have a better vision for the future of public education than the old, expensive, unproven reforms that have been meant to hurt our children and privatize our public schools. We believe in a single, well-funded system of public education that offers remarkable choices. We believe in fair assessment and fair accountability. We believe that mutual respect and collaboration between teachers, parents, and districts is the key to rescuing our vibrant public schools. We don't want them strangled by punitive, profit-driven, success is never final and reform is never finished agendas. We are frustrated that many of the politicians in this building refuse to hear or acknowledge our voice. For the third time in weeks, a real Florida parent testifying against parent empowerment was cut off in mid-sentence after only 15 seconds. We travel to Tallahassee on our own dime. We arrange for babysitters, we do homework over the telephone, and we miss countless precious hours with our children in order to tell our legislators how we feel and what we want. We are tired of being cut off, interrupted, and not allowed to speak. We've heard one politician after another repeat that parents really need to be empowered. Well, the irony is we are empowered. We're here, and we've been here, and we represent over 500,000 Florida parents. When politicians grant highly paid professional lobbyists unlimited time to testify and refuse to let us speak, it makes us furious. We are Florida taxpayers, parents, and voters. If we don't have a right to speak during a parent empowerment meeting, who does? We're tired of being told by wide-eyed politicians that they have never heard from us. Our position on the parent trigger has been repeatedly and widely published by every major newspaper in the state. We're here today to go on record. Not one legitimate Florida parent group has asked for the parent trigger, parent empowerment legislation. We do not support this corporate empowerment bill. It uses a parent's love to pull the trigger and pass all that they hold dear into the hands of for-profit corporations eager to peel off a chunk of every child's per-pupil funding for themselves. We will not be silent while our legislators use our money to fund 3 separate, unequal, and unfair systems of education. We do not support laws that benefit 10% of the schools while the other 90% suffer. This is real, and it's gone too far. Florida public education is a process, not a product. The asset was created for and funded by the people of the state, and it belongs to us. We oppose the Parent Empowerment Act and its bad faith intentions to privatize our public schools. Thank you.
Okay. I started this press conference by saying that this was a bipartisan effort, that Republicans and Democrats alike oppose this legislation. And I am so happy that our colleague, Senator Dockery, Paula Dockery, is here with us, and I'd like to give her an opportunity to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. And one of the reasons I am in attendance today is I was asked to be here by some of these lovely ladies who are parents that visit me in my Lakeland office frequently over the past several years, Kathleen and Linda. And one of the reasons that we're in the position that we're in today is because last week when I was out sick, I did not attend the Education Appropriations Committee of which I sit, and my no vote would have been the vote to kill the bill, and we would not have been here today. It's my understanding that at that meeting, not only was the committee extremely split, but that the amendment never really did get adopted, and in fact, the vote that did take place might have taken place after the official time of the meeting to end. So then on the floor last week, you may have heard 19 of the 19 no's to letting the bill come out of its final committee of reference, which I think shows just how split the Senate is on this issue. There were 20 yeses and 19 no's. So it's anybody's guess when the bill gets to the floor, I think on Tuesday, what's going to happen. But it is a bipartisan effort of people who feel very strongly that even if you support school choice like I do, and I have supported vouchers and I have supported charter schools, but this bill goes too far. What's interesting to me is for many years I have supported citizens' initiatives despite my party, for the most part, being against against citizens being able to amend their own constitution. And the process that they have attacked was using these signed petitions. And here we are with them pushing these petitions, but they're not regulated by the Secretary of State or the Division of Elections. And I think that there's a lot of room in this bill for some real shenanigans to take place in terms of who's signing those petitions, how those petitions are received, what's being given in trade for those signatures. So I'm very concerned that in public education, which we have not funded to the extent that we should have, where every year we incrementally do more and more to tell our public schools that they have to give this test and they have to have this accountability, and we don't give those same requirements to the other schools, the charter schools, and to private schools that take vouchers, that we did not create a level playing field, and now we're going further and further to reward those other schools that get to use innovation where we have stifled that innovation in our public education. So I am very concerned about this bill. In 16 years in the legislature, I just keep seeing incremental changes that weaken our public education system, but this isn't even incremental. This is a full frontal attack. So I think that it's going to be a healthy debate on the floor on Tuesday, and I thank you all for allowing me to be here today to share my comments, and I am so very sorry that I was sick and unable to be in that meeting last week.
Stay healthy.
Okay, we have a number of other senators with us today that I'm just going to introduce. Senator Audrey Gibson, Senator Eleanor Sobel, Senator Maria Sachs, and Senator Arthenia Joyner. All of us obviously extremely supportive of this bill. And at the risk, I'm just going to give any one of them who wants to just say a few words, just a couple of seconds to say something.
I want to say something. Why don't you go first?
She doesn't want to.
Okay.
She doesn't want to do it. Everybody doesn't have to do it.
Let me say this. Our public schools are founded on the Florida Constitution, which guarantees every child a very safe and highly rated public school education. By pulling back and not supporting our public school education, we're cheating our students, we're cheating our parents, and you know what's not been mentioned yet is we're cheating the state of Florida from providing every child in our boundaries, in this beautiful state of ours, an access to a very, very good public education. And this is something that we have to be careful of, we have to be wary of, and united all together, we're going to make this happen. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. As a former Broward County School Board member, I would like to tell you there's tremendous amount of parental involvement, PTA advisory councils, meetings throughout the year, and I appreciate the PTA being here today as well. What I'd like to say is this, that when we look out today in Florida's economy, we see a lot of for sale signs around houses. Well, now we're going to see for sale signs around our public schools. Our public schools are not for sale. That's the message we need to sell. And it's our taxpayer dollars that built those public schools. We paid for them. And for a private company to come along and say, we're going to take those buildings and they're going to be ours, we may never get them back. So you talk about foreclosures, for sale, but we don't want to head in that direction with our public schools. Thank you.
I'm going to save my debate.
Okay, Senator Gibson is saving her debate for the floor. So obviously you see we are united. We are united to ensure that we have a high-quality public education system in the state of Florida. And I want to just say that for those of us that are a little bit older, you know, we really do remember, I think, that, you know, our country was founded. The foundation, the core, the rock is our public education system, and we are not going to let that go. Thank you all for being here. We have session, so we thank you all. And please, we need 20 votes for sure. Go around this Capitol. Make sure that you talk to everybody and let them know how you feel about our public education system and our children.